Evelyn moved quietly through the grand halls of the Cross estate, her footsteps soft against the polished marble floors. The mansion was an endless maze of luxury, vast rooms adorned with priceless art, shimmering chandeliers, and richly woven tapestries that spoke of old money and power. For Evelyn, it was a world both awe-inspiring and intimidating, one she inhabited daily as part of the household staff. Despite the opulence around her, she remained invisible in many ways, just another background figure in the life of billionaire Damien Cross. Born and raised in a modest neighborhood, Evelyn had learned early on the value of hard work and humility. Her parents had sacrificed much to give her a chance at education, but financial struggles meant she had to take up work as soon as she could. The Cross Mansion became her place of employment, a position she held with pride despite the challenges it posed. Cleaning rooms, managing errands, and ensuring every corner of the estate gleamed fell on her shoulders, but Evelyn did more than just her duties. She took quiet satisfaction in doing her work well, hoping it might one day open doors to a different future. Yet beneath her calm exterior, Evelyn wrestled with self-doubt. The weight of societal expectations pressed on her daily, the implicit assumptions that someone of her background could never transcend the boundaries set by birth and circumstance. She dreamed of something better, a life where her talents and ambitions could flourish beyond servitude. But those dreams often felt distant and fragile, overshadowed by the reality of bills, schedules, and the invisible walls erected by class and privilege. Damien Cross, the man who owned the estate and all it contained, was a figure shrouded in power and mystery. His reputation as a ruthless businessman preceded him, a titan who built his empire through calculated risks and unyielding ambition. In the mansion, he was a distant presence, rarely seen except during brief visits or important meetings. When he appeared, it was with the air of a man who owned not just the property, but the world beyond its gates. His gaze was sharp and unreadable, his demeanor cold and reserved. To the staff, he was both respected and feared, a man for whom emotions were liabilities and efficiency was everything. Evelyn had encountered Damien only a handful of times, always from a careful distance. Their interactions were brief and formal, limited to curt acknowledgments or instructions passed down through house managers. She had learned to navigate his world without drawing attention, convinced that to stand out was to risk disfavor. Yet, despite his cold exterior, there was something about Damien that stirred curiosity in her, a hint of complexity beneath the surface she could never quite reach. One late afternoon, as Evelyn was arranging fresh flowers in the grand foyer, Damien entered the mansion unexpectedly early. The usual hum of activity slowed, and a hush seemed to settle over the staff. Evelyn's hands paused mid-task, her heart quickening in the presence of the powerful man. He moved through the room with purposeful steps, his eyes scanning the space as if measuring every detail. Their paths crossed when Damien stopped beside her, drawn perhaps by the delicate arrangement of blooms or simply by chance. For a moment, their eyes met, his sharp and assessing, hers steady but filled with a quiet resilience. He nodded slightly, acknowledging her work with a rare flicker of approval. It was brief, almost imperceptible, but to Evelyn, it felt like a crack in the wall she had long believed impenetrable. That moment lingered in her mind as Damien continued on his way, leaving the room filled with the faint scent of flowers and a newfound sense of possibility. For the first time, Evelyn felt that her presence might be noticed not as a background figure, but as someone with worth beyond her duties. The encounter, small as it was, planted a seed of hope and uncertainty, setting the stage for changes she had never dared to imagine. Evelyn finds herself caught in a whirlwind of emotions as Damien's sudden attention throws her life into disarray. What begins as an unexpected gesture quickly spirals into a complex mix of shock, confusion, and self-doubt. She wonders whether Damien's interest is sincere or simply an act of charity disguised as fascination. This uncertainty colors every interaction, leaving her hesitant and guarded. At work, Evelyn's co-workers react in varying ways that only add to her unease. Some greet the news with envy, whispering behind her back and speculating about the billionaire's intentions. Others appear skeptical, casting sideways glances that suggest doubt or even disdain. The office, once a place of routine and familiarity, becomes a stage for unspoken judgments and shifting alliances. Evelyn feels isolated amid the buzz, unsure who truly supports her and who views her as a mere novelty. Her family's response is equally complicated. While some members are cautiously optimistic, hoping this could be a positive turn in Evelyn's life, others voice concerns about Damien's authenticity and the potential consequences of such a relationship. The mixture of hope and skepticism creates tension at home, forcing Evelyn to navigate a delicate balance between excitement and caution. She finds herself replaying every interaction with Damien, searching for clues that might reveal his true feelings. Damien, despite his public image as a confident and untouchable billionaire, grapples with his own inner conflict. Beneath the polished exterior lies a man wrestling with vulnerabilities and unspoken desires. His attraction to Evelyn isn't simply about status or appearance, it stirs something genuine within him that he struggles to acknowledge. The softer side he reveals in private moments contrasts sharply with the hardened persona he projects in the boardroom and on the public stage. This contrast deepens the tension between their worlds. Evelyn comes from a background grounded in hard work and modest means, where trust is earned slowly and carefully. Damien's life, by contrast, is filled with wealth and influence, yet marked by isolation and guarded secrets. Their meeting points spark both fascination and friction, as each tries to understand the other's reality without losing their own identity. The divide between them is not just social or economic but emotional. Evelyn's skepticism shields her from potential heartbreak, while Damien's guardedness protects him from exposing too much of himself. Their interactions are layered with unspoken questions and tentative gestures, each testing the boundaries of trust and connection. The uncertainty of their situation creates an undercurrent of tension, making every encounter charged with possibility and risk. Navigating this bewildering new reality forces Evelyn to confront her own assumptions and fears. She questions what she truly wants and whether she can believe in something that feels so fragile and uncertain. The sudden spotlight on her life challenges her sense of normalcy and pushes her to re-evaluate her values and desires. Amidst the confusion, she begins to discover new facets of her self-strength, resilience, and the capacity to embrace vulnerability. Damien's struggle is equally transformative. The interest he shows in Evelyn compels him to confront parts of himself he has long suppressed. His billionaire facade cracks just enough to reveal a longing for genuine connection, something beyond the transactional relationships that dominate his world. This vulnerability is both frightening and liberating, forcing him to reconsider what success and happiness truly mean. As the distance between their worlds narrows, the tension becomes palpable. They stand on the precipice of something uncertain, a relationship that could redefine their lives or shatter their carefully constructed realities. Each step forward is fraught with hesitation and hope, as they cautiously explore the possibility of bridging the gap between them. In this new reality, both Evelyn and Damien must learn to navigate not only the external judgments and obstacles but also their internal doubts and insecurities. Their journey is one of mutual discovery, marked by moments of connection and conflict, tenderness and tension. It's a delicate dance where authenticity is tested and hearts are vulnerable. The path ahead is unclear, but the experience pushes them both toward growth and understanding. Evelyn begins to see that genuine interest can exist beyond superficial appearances, while Damien learns that opening himself up may lead to unexpected fulfillment. Together, they face a reality that challenges the boundaries of their worlds and invites them to imagine a future defined not by wealth or status but by trust and genuine connection. Amid the confusion and uncertainty, a fragile hope takes root, one that promises transformation, if they can both find the courage to embrace it. Damien's growing attention toward Evelyn sets off a ripple effect that reaches far beyond their immediate circle, creating a complex web of social and personal challenges for her. The shift in dynamics draws the scrutiny of those around Evelyn, exposing her to a host of obstacles that test her resolve and force her to confront not only external pressures but also her own uncertainties. Among the first challenges Evelyn encounters are the reactions of her colleagues. In professional environments where rivalry and competition are often the norm, her newfound connection with Damien becomes a lightning rod for jealousy. Some co-workers view her with suspicion, whispering behind closed doors and casting doubts on her motivations. The perceived favoritism sparks subtle forms of ostracism, cold shoulders in meetings, exclusion from informal gatherings, and an undercurrent of tension that complicates her work life. These social barriers chip away at her confidence, making her question the wisdom of engaging in a relationship that could jeopardize her professional standing. Outside of work, Evelyn's circle of friends responds with a mix of skepticism and concern. Friends who have known her for years struggle to reconcile the changes they observe with their understanding of Evelyn's character. Some voice worries about Damien's intentions, perceiving the attention he lavishes as a sign of possible manipulation or instability. Their suspicions sow seeds of doubt within Evelyn, feeding an internal dialogue fraught with hesitation. The conflicting emotions pull her in different directions, making her question whether the connection is genuine or simply a mirage born out of circumstance. Damien's rivals in the business world quickly seize upon the unusual relationship as an opportunity to weaken his position. They recognize that in high-stakes industries, perceptions can be as powerful as financial metrics or strategic plans. By spreading rumors and casting aspersions on Damien's judgment, they attempt to erode his credibility and shake the confidence of his allies and investors. This tactic intensifies the pressure not only on Damien but indirectly on Evelyn as well. She becomes a target of their machinations, facing veiled threats and social attacks designed to intimidate and isolate her. The entanglement in this hostile environment forces Evelyn to evaluate the costs of being involved with someone at the center of such volatile power struggles. Amid these external challenges, Evelyn grapples with her own internal doubts. The unpredictability of the relationship unsettles her. Damien's attention, while flattering and intriguing, also brings a level of vulnerability that she is not accustomed to navigating. She questions whether she can trust her own instincts and whether embracing this connection might lead to emotional upheaval. The tension between desire and caution plays out in her thoughts, as she weighs the risks of opening herself up to someone whose world is fraught with complexity and danger. The stakes escalate dramatically when Damien hints at a proposal that could change everything. His suggestion, ambiguous yet charged with significance, signals a turning point in their relationship, one that threatens to disrupt not only social norms but the very fabric of their lives. The nature of the proposal remains unclear, but its implications are unmistakable: a commitment or partnership that would bind them together in ways that extend beyond casual association. This revelation forces Evelyn to confront the reality of what her involvement with Damien might mean, beyond attraction or intrigue. This looming proposal intensifies the conflicts swirling around them. Social scrutiny sharpens, with even greater speculation and gossip emerging from both their professional and personal networks. Friends become more vocal in their concerns, colleagues more distant, and rivals more aggressive in their attempts to destabilize Damien's position. The pressure builds to a point where retreating seems like the safer option, Yet Evelyn also senses the possibility of something rare and transformative. Navigating these high stakes requires Evelyn to tap into reserves of strength she did not know she had. She must decide whether to embrace the unpredictability and risk inherent in the relationship or to withdraw to preserve her sense of stability and control. The choice is complicated by the intertwining of personal emotions and external consequences. Every decision carries weight, potentially altering the trajectories of both her life and Damien's. The complexity of the situation challenges Evelyn's understanding of loyalty, trust, and ambition. She must reconcile her desires with the realities of the social and professional worlds that surround her. Damien's presence acts as both a catalyst for change and a source of conflict, forcing her to re-evaluate her boundaries and priorities. The uncertainty of what lies ahead looms large, but so does the possibility of a deeper connection that could redefine her future. In the midst of this turmoil, Evelyn begins to find clarity about what matters most to her. The social pressures and personal doubts sharpen her focus, compelling her to confront her fears head-on. She recognizes that growth often requires stepping into discomfort and that meaningful relationships rarely follow predictable paths. This realization emboldens her, even as the external challenges continue to mount. As Damien's hint about the proposal lingers in the air, Evelyn stands at a crossroads. The decision she faces is more than a simple choice between engagement and withdrawal. It is a test of her resilience, her willingness to embrace uncertainty, and her capacity to define her own narrative amid conflicting forces. The rising stakes in their relationship underscore the intricate interplay between personal connection and social consequence, illustrating how deeply intertwined these realms can be. Through this journey, Evelyn learns that navigating complex relationships requires more than passion or attraction. It demands courage, self-awareness, and a readiness to face the unexpected. The unfolding conflict challenges her to grow beyond familiar limits and to reconsider what she values in herself and in others. In doing so, she prepares to meet whatever comes next, armed with a deeper understanding of the risks and rewards that define the human experience. Damien's proposal lands like a thunderclap, shattering the carefully constructed world Evelyn thought she understood. It is neither a simple request nor a standard business proposition. It is a deeply unconventional offer that pushes boundaries and calls into question everything Evelyn has held dear. The shock is immediate and visceral, leaving Evelyn reeling as she tries to process the implications. This moment forces her to re-evaluate not only her relationship with Damien but also the very foundations of her identity and sense of trust. For years, Evelyn had navigated her life with a clear set of principles, balancing ambition with a guarded sense of morality. She had cultivated a persona grounded in control and certainty, convinced that her path was steady and predictable. Damien's revelation challenges all of that. His offer, unexpected and fraught with complexity, breaks through her defenses, exposing vulnerabilities she had long kept hidden. Suddenly, the roles they played, powerful, confident, unshakable, begin to unravel. The nature of Damien's proposal is ambiguous yet provocative, demanding that Evelyn confront choices she never anticipated. It places her at a crossroads where ethical lines blur and personal stakes escalate. The proposition questions not just what she is willing to do, but who she is willing to become. It strikes at the heart of her identity, confronting her with fears she has buried beneath layers of professionalism and self-assurance. As the initial shock subsides, the power dynamics between Evelyn and Damien shift dramatically. Where once she held firm control, the revelation gives Damien newfound leverage, unsettling the balance that had defined their interactions. Evelyn senses the weight of this shift, feeling both exposed and challenged. The interplay between them becomes charged with tension, as unspoken questions and unsaid truths hover in the air. Trust, once implicit, now feels fragile and tentative. Evelyn's world, meticulously organized and controlled, starts to crumble. She grapples with a flood of emotions: confusion, anger, fear, and a flicker of curiosity. The certainty that had guided her decision-making falters as she faces the uncertainty Damien's proposal introduces. Her internal conflict deepens, forcing her to confront not only external pressures but also her own self-doubt. What does she really want? What is she willing to risk? And who can she truly trust in this new landscape? This upheaval resonates beyond their personal exchange, sending shockwaves through the circles they inhabit. Colleagues, allies, and adversaries begin to sense the tremors of change, even if they cannot fully grasp the specifics. Rumors and speculation swirl, altering perceptions and alliances. The stakes escalate as Evelyn becomes aware that her choices will have repercussions far beyond her own life, influencing the trajectories of those around her. At the same time, Damien's role becomes more complex. His motivations, once clear and straightforward, now seem layered with ambiguity. Is his proposal a calculated maneuver, a desperate gamble, or something more profound? Evelyn wrestles with deciphering his true intentions, knowing that misreading him could cost her dearly. This uncertainty fuels the tension between them, adding depth to their interactions and heightening the emotional stakes. The confrontation between Evelyn and Damien also acts as a catalyst for Evelyn's self-discovery. As she processes the proposal and its implications, she embarks on a journey inward. Questions about identity and belonging surface with renewed urgency. Who is she beneath the roles she performs? How much of her life is dictated by external expectations, and how much by authentic desire? The crisis pushes her to explore these questions with brutal honesty, opening the door to transformation. Throughout this ordeal, Evelyn's fear of vulnerability clashes with her need for connection. The very things Damien's offer threatens: trust, intimacy, acceptance are also what she craves most deeply. This paradox creates a tension that propels the narrative forward, driving Evelyn toward an emotional reckoning. She must decide whether to retreat into familiar defenses or to embrace the uncertainty and risk that Damien's proposal represents. The emotional stakes are further heightened by the realization that this turning point is more than just a personal dilemma, it is a pivotal moment that will shape the course of Evelyn's future. The choices she makes now will define not only her relationships but also her sense of self. The narrative pivots decisively here, moving toward an emotional climax where the resolution of these internal and external conflicts will unfold. In the aftermath of Damien's revelation, Evelyn finds herself at a crossroads. The path ahead is unclear and fraught with risk, but it also holds the possibility of growth and renewal. The offer, shocking as it is, forces her to confront what she truly values and who she is willing to become. It challenges her to break free from old patterns and to embrace change, however daunting. This moment marks a shift from tension to transformation. The story's momentum gathers, propelled by Evelyn's evolving inner struggle and the shifting dynamics with Damien. The narrative deepens as it explores themes of trust, identity, and belonging, universal concerns given fresh intensity through the complexity of their relationship. Ultimately, Damien's bombshell proposal acts as a catalyst that unearths hidden truths and unspoken desires. It destabilizes Evelyn's world but also opens a door to new possibilities. The shock waves it sends through their lives set the stage for an emotional climax that promises resolution, growth, and perhaps redemption. Evelyn's journey, now irrevocably altered, moves forward with a renewed sense of urgency and emotional depth. Evelyn finds herself engulfed in a storm of emotions as she processes the fallout from Damien's proposal. What was meant to be a hopeful step forward has instead left her feeling vulnerable and painfully isolated. The intensity of public gossip surrounding the announcement spreads rapidly, twisting perceptions and magnifying scrutiny. The whispers echo in every corner of her life, distorting the sincerity of their intentions and casting shadows over her reputation. Evelyn feels exposed in a way she never anticipated, as if her private feelings have been laid bare for judgment. Within her own family, disapproval rises sharply. What might have been a moment of celebration instead ignites conflict and disappointment. Family members express concerns not just about the proposal itself, but about Evelyn's well-being, questioning her judgment and cautioning her about the future. Their protective instincts clash with Evelyn's desire for autonomy, leaving her caught between respecting their fears and asserting her own feelings. This divide intensifies her sense of isolation, making her question where she truly belongs and who she can turn to for genuine support. Self-doubt creeps into Evelyn's thoughts, further complicating her emotional landscape. The weight of others' opinions mingles with her own insecurities, creating a fog of uncertainty that clouds her judgment. She wrestles with questions about her worthiness, her ability to trust Damien, and even her capacity to trust herself. Each new day brings a fresh wave of doubt, as she revisits every conversation, every gesture, trying to decipher what is real and what is merely a product of anxiety. This internal struggle leaves her emotionally drained, teetering on the edge of despair. Meanwhile, Damien is grappling with his own set of challenges. The proposal, which was intended to be a genuine expression of commitment, suddenly becomes entangled with external pressures. His board members voice concerns about the impact on the company's image, questioning whether this personal decision aligns with business interests. Friends and social acquaintances add their voices, often with veiled judgment or unsolicited advice. The cumulative effect creates a complicated backdrop against which Damien must navigate his intentions, making it difficult for him to separate genuine emotion from obligation or expectation. This external scrutiny forces Damien into a defensive position, one that contrasts sharply with the openness he had hoped to maintain. He finds himself caught between the desire to honor his feelings and the need to manage perceptions that threaten to redefine the narrative. This balancing act drains his energy and tests his resolve. The personal becomes political, and the simplicity of love is lost amid a tangle of expectations and consequences. Both Evelyn and Damien are left to wrestle privately with the ramifications of their choices. The proposal, rather than solidifying their connection, has introduced layers of complexity that neither fully anticipated. Evelyn, especially, reaches a low emotional point. The initial hope that accompanied the proposal has faded, replaced by a profound uncertainty about the future. She questions not only the relationship but her own judgment and emotional resilience. The foundation of trust, so essential in any partnership, feels shaky, and she wonders if she can rebuild it or if the fractures run too deep. In this crucible of doubt and pressure, Evelyn's vulnerability is palpable. She confronts the rawness of her emotions: fear, disappointment, confusion, and the realization that healing and clarity may require more time than she imagined. The experience forces her to look inward, to examine her values and boundaries, and to reconsider what she truly needs from both herself and from Damien. It is a moment of reckoning, one that demands courage to face uncomfortable truths and to decide how to move forward. Despite the challenges, this period of emotional upheaval also holds the potential for growth. Both Evelyn and Damien are compelled to reflect deeply on their intentions, their priorities, and the nature of their connection. The pressures and doubts that surround them, while painful, open the door to greater honesty and self-awareness. They must navigate the difficult path between external judgment and internal truth, learning what it means to stand firm in their choices while remaining open to change. As they confront these difficulties, Evelyn and Damien are reminded that relationships are rarely straightforward. They require ongoing negotiation, communication, and the willingness to face uncomfortable emotions. The fallout from the proposal serves as a harsh but necessary lesson in vulnerability and resilience. Though Evelyn is at her lowest point emotionally, this moment may also mark the beginning of a deeper understanding of herself, of Damien, and of what it takes to build trust amid uncertainty. Through this ordeal, Evelyn's journey is one of profound self-discovery. She must find the strength to forgive herself for doubts and fears, to set boundaries that protect her well-being, and to decide whether the relationship can withstand the trials it now faces. The path ahead is uncertain, but within this uncertainty lies the possibility of healing and renewed clarity. For Damien, the experience underscores the complexity of balancing personal desires with public expectations. His challenge is to remain true to his feelings while navigating the pressures that threaten to dilute their meaning. Together, they face the daunting task of rebuilding trust not only between each other but also within themselves. This process, though fraught with difficulty, holds the promise of forging a stronger, more authentic connection if they can weather the storm. In the quiet aftermath, both Evelyn and Damien are left to reflect on what has been lost and what might still be saved. The proposal was meant to unite them, but instead has become a catalyst for confronting uncomfortable realities. How they choose to respond to these challenges will shape not only their relationship but their individual growth as well. The journey forward demands patience, empathy, and above all, honesty, qualities that must now be cultivated if they are to move beyond the fallout and find a way toward healing. Evelyn stands at a crossroads where the weight of external pressures feels almost unbearable. Society's judgment is relentless, a constant backdrop to her every move. Gossip, whispered assumptions, and outright criticism swirl around her like a storm she cannot escape. The spotlight that follows her is unforgiving, scrutinizing not just her actions but her very character. It's a world where reputation is currency, and any misstep risks irreparable damage. The expectations imposed on her feel suffocating, forcing her to navigate a delicate balance between who she is and who others want her to be. Complicating matters is Damien's imposing presence. His world is one of influence and power, where alliances and appearances shape reality. To many, he is untouchable, an emblem of strength and control. Yet, beneath that facade lies a complexity Evelyn is only beginning to understand. His influence amplifies the external pressures she faces, making the stakes higher and the margins for error narrower. In Damien's realm, vulnerability is often hidden, and showing weakness can be dangerous. For Evelyn, this intensifies the challenge of maintaining her sense of self amid the demands surrounding her. Internally, Evelyn wrestles with feelings of inadequacy that gnaw at her confidence. Doubts creep in during quiet moments, whispering that she is not enough, that her achievements and qualities fall short of the expectations laid upon her. This internal struggle is compounded by a deep fear of losing her identity in the process of adapting to these pressures. The parts of herself she holds dear, the values, dreams, and unique traits, feel threatened by the need to conform or compromise. It is a battle between authenticity and survival, where the cost of maintaining her true self seems high. Damien's vulnerabilities emerge slowly, peeling back the layers of his carefully constructed exterior. He reveals fragments of a past marked by hardship and loss, experiences that shaped his relentless drive and guarded nature. His motivations become clearer as he opens up about the fears and wounds that fuel his ambition. This glimpse into his humanity complicates Evelyn's perception of him. He is no longer simply a figure of power, but a man carrying burdens that resonate with her own struggles. Their conversations shift from tense negotiations to moments of genuine connection, where vulnerability is exchanged rather than concealed. the emotional tension between them deepens, charged with unspoken fears, hopes, and uncertainties. Evelyn finds herself drawn into a complex dance of emotions, where love and ambition intertwine in unexpected ways. The clarity she seeks is elusive, obscured by conflicting desires and the realities they face. She questions what love means in a world shaped by power and control, whether it can exist without compromise, and if ambition must always come at a personal cost. Amid this turmoil, Evelyn begins to search for strength from within. This journey is neither straightforward nor easy. It requires confronting uncomfortable truths about herself and the world she inhabits. She learns to listen to her own voice amidst the cacophony of external opinions, discovering reservoirs of resilience she hadn't realized she possessed. This inner strength doesn't erase the challenges but equips her to face them with greater clarity and determination. Reevaluating her worth becomes a crucial part of this process. Evelyn moves beyond the judgments imposed by others, seeking to define her value on her own terms. This shift is subtle but profound, altering how she perceives herself and her place in the world. It opens space for self-compassion and acceptance, counteracting the harshness of societal expectations. In doing so, she begins to reshape her understanding of what it means to succeed, not just in tangible achievements but in living authentically and meaningfully. The meaning of love also comes under scrutiny. Evelyn grapples with the tension between affection and power, questioning whether true intimacy can flourish in a landscape marked by ambition and control. She contemplates the sacrifices demanded by both love and ambition, wondering if they can coexist without one overshadowing the other. This reflection leads to moments of vulnerability and insight, where she acknowledges the complexity of her emotions and the importance of honest connection. Throughout this period of upheaval, Evelyn's relationship with Damien serves as both a mirror and a catalyst for growth. Their interactions reveal the challenges and possibilities inherent in blending personal desires with external realities. The mutual unveiling of vulnerabilities fosters a deeper understanding, even as uncertainties persist. This dynamic underscores the theme that strength often arises from embracing complexity rather than seeking simple answers. The mounting external pressures, coupled with the internal battles Evelyn faces, create a richly textured emotional landscape. It is one marked by conflict, growth, and the tentative emergence of hope. The narrative explores how individuals navigate the delicate interplay between self-preservation and transformation, highlighting the courage required to confront fear and redefine one's path. As Evelyn moves forward, the questions she wrestles with remain open-ended, reflecting the ongoing nature of personal evolution. Her journey illustrates that strength is not the absence of doubt but the willingness to face it. It also emphasizes that love and ambition, though sometimes at odds, can inspire profound growth when approached with honesty and courage. This chapter deepens the emotional complexity of the story, offering insight into the characters' inner worlds and the forces shaping their choices. It invites reflection on the nature of identity, resilience, and the multifaceted dimensions of human relationships. Through Evelyn and Damien's intertwined struggles, the narrative captures the universal challenges of seeking connection and meaning in a world defined by power and expectation. Evelyn's determination to reclaim her autonomy and reshape the dynamics between herself and Damien crystallizes into a carefully constructed plan. It is a blueprint not just for personal freedom but for transforming a complex relationship marked by tension, unspoken fears, and the intricate balance of control and vulnerability. Her resolve is clear: she will no longer be confined by old patterns or silent compromises. Instead, she will define new boundaries rooted in respect, equality, and authentic connection. Her plan begins with a deep internal reckoning. Evelyn understands that asserting her independence will not only challenge Damien but also unsettle the foundation upon which their relationship has long stood. She anticipates resistance, both overt and subtle, and prepares herself mentally and emotionally for the battles ahead. This is not a rebellion born from anger or bitterness, it is a deliberate, thoughtful effort to reclaim her voice and agency while preserving what remains of mutual respect. At the core of Evelyn's strategy is honest communication. She resolves to articulate her needs, fears, and hopes with clarity and compassion, even when those conversations feel uncomfortable or expose vulnerabilities. She aims to create a space where both can engage authentically, free from the old scripts that once dictated their interactions. This shift requires courage not only to speak her truth but to listen deeply to Damien's response, even when it reveals his own insecurities and pain. Meanwhile, Damien faces his own internal reckoning. Evelyn's assertiveness forces him to confront fears he has long suppressed, fears of losing control, of appearing weak, and of relinquishing the power that has become intertwined with his identity. The relationship has, for years, been a battleground where power dynamics played out in subtle and overt ways. Damien's challenge is to move beyond these fears, to embrace vulnerability as strength rather than weakness. This transformation does not come easily for him. It demands that he question long-held beliefs about dominance, protection, and masculinity. Damien must learn to trust that surrendering control in certain moments does not diminish his worth but enriches the connection he shares with Evelyn. It is a painful but necessary process, one that requires self-reflection, humility, and a willingness to change. Together, Evelyn and Damien begin preparing for the inevitable external pressures they will face as they attempt to redefine their relationship. Friends, family, and social circles may resist the changes, clinging to old perceptions or expressing concern about the upheaval. Both understand that navigating this opposition will require solidarity, patience, and mutual support. They recognize that external voices might sow doubt or seek to pull them back into familiar patterns, but their commitment to this new chapter remains steadfast. Internally, too, doubt surfaces. Evelyn wrestles with moments of uncertainty, fears that her efforts may be futile, that Damien might not embrace the vulnerability she hopes for, or that the relationship may fracture under the weight of change. Damien battles his own doubts, questioning whether he can truly let go of control and what that might mean for his sense of identity. These internal conflicts add complexity to their journey, but rather than weaken them, they become catalysts for growth. Evelyn and Damien develop strategies to support one another through these challenges. They agree to hold space for discomfort and to approach setbacks not as failures but as opportunities for deeper understanding. They commit to checking in regularly, to share honest feelings, and to navigate misunderstandings with empathy. This mutual accountability becomes a foundation upon which they build trust, slowly transforming what was once a fraught dynamic into a partnership marked by openness. The decisive moment toward which they move is more than symbolic, it is a turning point that demands risk. Both must be willing to expose their vulnerabilities, to confront fears of rejection and loss, and to stand firm in their shared vision of a relationship based on equality and genuine connection. This moment is as much about letting go of old identities as it is about embracing new possibilities. Preparing for this turning point involves deliberate actions. Evelyn begins setting clearer boundaries, expressing her desires without apology, and asserting her independence through concrete choices, whether in how she spends her time, the decisions she makes, or the way she interacts with Damien. Damien responds by practicing openness, sharing his own fears, and demonstrating trust through gestures that speak louder than words. Their interactions become a delicate dance, sometimes faltering but increasingly marked by authenticity. Moments of tension give way to breakthroughs, as both learn to navigate the uncomfortable terrain of change together. They discover that vulnerability, when met with compassion, can deepen intimacy rather than undermine it. As the stage is set for their decisive moment, Evelyn and Damien embody a shared commitment to transformation. Their journey is not about conquering one another but about moving forward side by side, willing to risk everything for a future where both feel seen, heard, and valued. This final plan reflects a profound understanding that true partnership requires courage, patience, and the willingness to embrace uncertainty. It is a plan grounded in hope, fortified by resolve, and animated by the belief that redefining love and connection is possible when both parties dare to face their fears and choose vulnerability over control. Evelyn and Damien stood at the crossroads of their lives, facing the culmination of mounting pressures that had been building silently beneath the surface. The intensity of public scrutiny weighed heavily on them, each accusation and whisper magnified by the relentless eyes of society and the media. Their every move was dissected, their motives questioned, and their vulnerabilities exposed. The harsh judgments of friends, family, and strangers alike created an atmosphere thick with tension, a suffocating environment where every misstep could unravel everything they had fought to protect. Amidst this storm, Evelyn grappled with her own internal conflicts. She had always been a person driven by principle and determination, but the unyielding gaze of the public had started to chip away at her confidence. Doubts crept in about her worth, her decisions, and her ability to withstand the mounting pressure. She feared that the image others held of her was becoming a cage, trapping her in a version of herself she barely recognized. Yet beneath the fear was a core of resilience that refused to be extinguished. Damien, too, faced his demons. Known for his composed exterior and sharp intellect, he found himself vulnerable in ways he hadn't anticipated. The constant judgment had stirred insecurities that he had long kept buried, fears of inadequacy and failure. His relationship with Evelyn, once a source of strength, now felt fragile and strained under the weight of their challenges. He wrestled with feelings of guilt and frustration, questioning whether he was enough to weather the storm alongside her. Their relationship, tested by relentless external forces and the internal turmoil each endured, teetered on the brink of collapse. The public drama surrounding them had transformed from mere gossip to a crucible that threatened to define their futures. Friends and acquaintances took sides, and the once private cracks in their bond became public spectacle. The tension between them, unspoken yet palpable, grew with every interaction, simmering beneath the surface until it could no longer be contained. The confrontation that followed was inevitable, a dramatic showdown that demanded courage, honesty, and sacrifice. In a charged atmosphere, they faced each other with raw emotions laid bare. There was no room for pretense or evasion, the moment called for complete transparency. Evelyn spoke first, her voice steady but filled with a mix of pain and resolve. She expressed the fears and frustrations that had been haunting her, acknowledging the wounds inflicted by both external judgment and internal doubt. Her words were a plea for understanding, for recognition of the struggle she had endured not only as an individual but as a partner. Damien responded with equal honesty, shedding the stoic facade he had maintained for so long. He confessed to his own vulnerabilities, the insecurities that had made him retreat at times, and the ways he had fallen short in supporting Evelyn when she needed him most. His admissions were not excuses but a sincere attempt to bridge the growing distance between them. The exchange was raw and unfiltered, exposing the painful truths they had both been avoiding. Amid the emotional turmoil, moments of profound clarity emerged. Both realized that their love was not defined by perfection but by the willingness to face hardship together. They acknowledged that the judgments of others, though hurtful, could not dictate the course of their lives if they chose to stand united. This understanding sparked a renewed commitment to each other, a promise to confront their challenges side by side, rather than as adversaries. Sacrifice became a central theme in their reconciliation. Each was prepared to let go of pride, to confront uncomfortable truths, and to make difficult choices for the sake of their bond. Evelyn was ready to open herself to vulnerability without fear of judgment, while Damien committed to offering unwavering support even when his own confidence wavered. This mutual sacrifice was not about giving up parts of themselves but about embracing a shared vision of strength forged through honesty and empathy. The public, who had watched their story unfold with eager curiosity and judgment, now bore witness to this pivotal moment of transformation. The dramatic showdown transcended mere spectacle, it became a powerful testament to the complexity of human relationships and the resilience required to sustain them. Evelyn and Damien's confrontation challenged preconceived notions about strength and vulnerability, showing that true courage lies in facing one's fears and flaws openly. As the confrontation drew to a close, the tension that had threatened to tear them apart began to dissipate, replaced by a tentative but hopeful sense of renewal. The battle was far from over, but the foundation for healing had been laid. Both understood that moving forward would require continuous effort and patience, but the clarity gained from their honest exchange offered a new path forward, one rooted in mutual respect and genuine connection. This turning point was not just about saving a relationship but about personal growth and transformation. Evelyn and Damien emerged from the confrontation with a deeper understanding of themselves and each other. They recognized that facing their greatest challenges head-on was necessary not only to preserve what they had but to become stronger individuals. The courage they displayed in that moment would serve as a beacon, guiding them through future trials and uncertainties. Ultimately, the climax of their story was a powerful exploration of love's complexities, how it can be tested, strained, and reshaped through adversity. It underscored the importance of honesty and sacrifice as essential ingredients for reconciliation and growth. Their journey through public scrutiny and personal insecurity highlighted the human capacity for resilience and the profound impact of vulnerability in forging authentic connections. The dramatic showdown was a defining moment that set the stage for what was to come. It offered hope that even amidst chaos and judgment, love could endure when nurtured by courage and truth. Evelyn and Damien's confrontation marked the peak of their emotional journey, a moment where everything hung in the balance and where the choices they made would determine their shared future. The aftermath of their journey reveals a world forever altered by the growth and transformation of Evelyn and Damien. Both have undergone profound changes that touch every aspect of their lives: emotional, psychological, and relational. The challenges they once faced, seemingly insurmountable, have become stepping stones toward a deeper understanding of themselves and each other. This resolution is not simply about overcoming obstacles but about embracing the evolution that those challenges have inspired. Evelyn's transformation is particularly striking. Once constrained by doubt and uncertainty, she now radiates a quiet strength and empowerment that redefine her presence in the world. The experiences she endured and the battles she fought have forged a new sense of self, one grounded in resilience and clarity. She no longer views the world as a place of limitations but as a canvas of possibility. This shift is more than personal growth, it is a reclamation of agency and identity. Her empowerment manifests in the way she carries herself and interacts with those around her. Evelyn steps forward with confidence, unafraid to assert her voice and pursue her passions. The fears and insecurities that once held her back have been replaced by a steadfast belief in her own worth and capabilities. This transformation reshapes not only her future but also her understanding of what it means to be true to oneself. Damien's evolution runs parallel, equally significant though different in its nature. He has shed old patterns of behavior that no longer serve him and embraced a more authentic way of living. Through introspection and the trials he faced alongside Evelyn, he has learned the importance of vulnerability and emotional honesty. This has allowed him to dismantle walls he once built around himself, fostering deeper connections not just with Evelyn but with others in his life as well. The relationship between Evelyn and Damien is at the heart of this transformation. What began as a complex and often challenging connection has matured into a partnership built on mutual respect, understanding, and love. Their shared experiences have not only strengthened their bond but also reshaped their individual identities. Together, they have navigated the difficult terrain of trust and forgiveness, emerging with a clearer vision of what they want from life and from each other. This relationship acts as both catalyst and refuge. It pushes them to confront uncomfortable truths and grow beyond their limitations, while also offering a safe space where they can be vulnerable and authentic. The dynamics between them reflect a balance of giving and receiving, learning and teaching, supporting and challenging. This reciprocity has deepened their connection and opened pathways to new possibilities. The resolution of the major conflicts that once defined their story is handled with a sense of closure and maturity. Issues that seemed like barriers, whether internal struggles or external pressures, are addressed with honesty and compassion. They no longer define Evelyn and Damien but are integrated into their histories as lessons rather than scars. This integration is crucial, allowing them to move forward unburdened by the weight of past pain. The narrative also explores how Evelyn and Damien's transformations influence their futures. With renewed clarity and strength, they envision paths that align more closely with their authentic selves. This forward-looking perspective is infused with hope and determination. It acknowledges that while challenges will always arise, the foundation they have built equips them to face what comes with courage and grace. Evelyn's empowerment translates into action. She begins to carve out new roles and opportunities that reflect her evolved identity. Whether in her career, community, or personal life, she embraces challenges as chances to grow and make an impact. This marks a significant departure from the hesitancy of her past, illustrating how profound change can open doors once thought permanently closed. At the same time, Damien's growth allows him to approach life with a renewed sense of purpose and connection. He prioritizes authenticity and emotional openness, enriching his relationships and fostering deeper meaning. This shift not only enhances his bond with Evelyn but also helps him redefine his place in the world. The story closes on a hopeful and memorable note, emphasizing the transformative power of love and self-belief. Evelyn and Damien's journey illustrates how love can break down barriers, those imposed by society, circumstance, or internal doubts. Their experience is a testament to the idea that genuine connection has the capacity to heal, inspire, and empower. More importantly, the narrative highlights the critical role of self-belief in driving transformation. Evelyn's newfound confidence, bolstered by the support of Damien and her own inner strength, serves as a beacon for others facing similar struggles. It suggests that when individuals embrace their worth and potential, they can redefine their realities and create futures aligned with their deepest desires. Their story leaves a lasting impression, a reminder that transformation is possible, even in the most challenging circumstances. It speaks to the resilience of the human spirit and the profound impact that love, both for oneself and for another, can have on the course of a life. The closing sentiments celebrate this journey, offering a vision of hope and renewal that resonates long after the final pages. In the end, Evelyn and Damien stand not just as survivors of their past but as architects of their future, shaped by growth, connected by love, and empowered by belief. Their resolution embodies a universal truth, that through courage, compassion, and faith in oneself, barriers can be broken, and new beginnings embraced.